In today's video, I'm going to share with you the methods we use to clean our polishing pads. Now, it's going to be dependent on how many pads we have to clean at the time, meaning 5 pads versus, let's say, 25 pads. It's going to be based on how much time we have available, meaning if it's at the end of the workday and we're all tired, but we need to clean a few to get ready for the next morning, that's a different way. And then realistically, it's just how lazy are we feeling, right? After a long day of detailing cars, to wash a lot of pads, sometimes we don't want to do that. Now, there's going to be 2 parts to this process: the washing or cleaning process, and then the drying process. The first part of the video, I'm going to show you the cleaning process, the different ways that we're able to clean them. And then the second portion of that video is how we actually dry the pads. And it's up to you to pick and choose, method 1, cleaning method 1 versus drying method 2. It's just going to be dependent again on what you have available as far as the tools and products, how much time, and how many pads you have. Okay, so for the first/second method, is going to be using either APC, dish soap, and a brush and water. So here I have a microfiber cutting pad and then a polishing pad. Now what you do for both, whichever one you want to go with, is just rinse it down. It would be good if you can use warm water. If it's just cold water, that's fine too. But I'd like to get it at least a little warm. And you're just going to soak it in a little bit. Now here, your choice, you can either go with, let's say, APC and just spray this here. Or you can take your dish soap, Dawn soap, and just put a little bit there, right? Whichever one you want. And then if you're using APC, you can use a Dawn soap here, whichever one you want. You're gonna take your brush here and just start to lightly agitate like this. Because you want to get all that compound buildup that's in the fiber, so you kind of want to dig it out here. They're pretty easy. If you're doing it with the foam, you can either put a bit more water in it, and you can use the foam pad, but I typically don't with foam pads. I don't usually use a brush. I just use my hand and massage it out like this. Okay, and that's basically it. Again, you can do the APC on the foam pad, you can use the Dawn soap on the microfiber. Those are interchangeable. Next is you're gonna turn it back on and rinse it out. Now here, the important part is squeezing it out so you get all that residue out. And this is actually an old pad, so it's already coming out. The Velcro is. So we're gonna repeat that process until basically water is coming out. So I'm gonna get one more small rinse, and this one should be good. I'm gonna do one more. That pad is now done. We'll put it to the side. And you do the same process here, and just kind of push some of it out. And start wringing it out. Push some of it out, and then wring it out. I'll give it one more. And they are now technically clean. Now, method 3/4 follows kind of the same method, except we're adding one step before everything, and we're gonna use the pressure washer. Now here, you're gonna lay down the pads. Now typically when we do this, it's because we're doing everything in bulk. So we might be doing 10, 20, 30 pads at a time, that it makes sense to get the pressure washer out and use all that and just get those tools out. So you'll lay the pads on the ground, on a tabletop or whatever, and you'll first just quickly rinse off the pad. That way it gets out most of the gunk. Now to some people, you can stop here, wring them out and set them to dry. But I just personally like to make sure I've gotten all the residue out, or at least as much of that residue. So the next step to this is you can still take it back to the sink, put your APC or dish soap, agitate, and rinse out. Now again, if we're doing this in bulk, then after we rinse the pads out, we'll actually get the drill gun. We'll clean out the brush attachment to make sure it's clean, and then we'll agitate, we'll spray the APC or dish soap on all the pads, and we'll agitate. So we're doing everything in phases, right? So let's say we have 20 pads to clean. We're gonna rinse down all the pads with the pressure washer. Then we're going to spray down all the pads with the dish soap or the APC. Then we're gonna agitate all the brushes with the drill gun. And then we're gonna go to the sink and actually wring them out. I know it's a lot of steps, but when it comes to pads, I personally wanna make sure I'm cleaning them as good as I can. That way when they dry and I go to polish the next day or whenever I use them again, that they're actually clean. And also because some of these pads sit out for maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, because we wait for them to pile up, we wait for them to pile up. So maybe the one at the very bottom has been there for maybe a week. So it's a lot more dry and maybe crustier than the other one. So I wanna make sure that no matter in what range or how long they've been sitting outside or waiting to be cleaned, that we clean everything out. Now it looks like there's a lot of methods, but just really choose what works for you. Choose what you find best. Choose what fits your personal preference. That's it. Choose that and keep on using it. So now let's go to how we dry these. Now the first method of drying the pad, which is the simplest way, is to get a towel, agitate the pad, and just soak up as much water as you can, and then set it out to dry on a rack, a table, wherever. The second method would be you wring out the pad, you put it on a polisher, you use your air compressor, and you blow out most of the pad, and you push out most of the water, then you set it to dry. Now the third one, which takes the longest, is you wring it out, you put the pad on the polisher, you blow it out with your air compressor, and then you'll spin the polisher for maybe 2 to 4 seconds to get any last little bit of water, and then you set it out to dry. Now each one of these methods will work. The point that you wanna do, or the main thing you wanna focus on, is getting as much of that water out from the pad. The more if you get most of the water out, the faster it'll dry. So if you choose the first method, if you have 2 days for them just to sit out, it'll take the longest, but it is gonna dry. Now, if you need it in the next hour or maybe the first thing in the morning, if you do blow it out with an air compressor and then spin it on the polisher, they'll be ready to go by the next morning. So it's just dependent on, again, how much time you have, how many pads you're doing, and just how much effort do you want to put into it. Now, I know a question I'll get is, have we tried the wash bucket inserts where you put a pad in the bucket, pump it, and the water shoots into the pad and it cleans it out? We actually have tried it, and it was terrible. It didn't clean the pad very well. And again, if we have 10, 20, 35 pads to clean in one go, that method takes so long that it just becomes very frustrating. So we have used it, we didn't like it, we didn't like the cleaning ability, the efficiency of it wasn't there, so we don't use it. There's other methods aside the ones that I've shown you that people wash their pads with. This is just what we use. It works for us depending on the few criteria or the few conditions that we're working in. So that's what we do. You figure out what works for you. If that pad bucket thing works for you, keep on using that. It's just whatever you think works for you, do that. But that's gonna wrap up this video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you do differently or what's your preferred method of cleaning your pads. You can check the description box down below for any of the links that might have used, maybe the pads, maybe the pressure washer that we're using. You can check those down below. Thank you very much, and I'll see everyone on the next one. Bye-bye.